Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we're going deep into a world you probably don't think about too much.
Yeah.
It's not exactly Silicon Valley, but it's getting a serious tech makeover. We're talking about the trades,
Yeah.
plumbers, electricians, HVAC, the stuff that keeps our world running.
Exactly. And get this, our guide for this deep dive is ServiceTitan's recent S1 filing.
Yeah,
You know that document companies file
that's
before they
right.
go public? It's basically a treasure trove of info about their business, goals, even the risks they face.
Okay, so ServiceTitan makes software for trades businesses. So what? Why should we care?
Well, get ready to be surprised. This industry is huge.
Okay.
We're talking a $1.5 trillion annual market in the U.S. and Canada alone.
Wow.
To put that in perspective, that's
Right.
bigger than the entire global smartphone market.
No way. Seriously. I never realized the trades were that big. It's not exactly what you think of when you hear tech disruption, right?
Right, that's what makes ServiceTitan so interesting. They're positioning themselves as the operating system for this massive market, like Windows for computers or iOS for phones.
So they're not just making another scheduling app. What does this operating system actually do for these businesses?
Well, think about running a trades business. You've got technicians out in the field, always on the move, schedules changing, and you need constant communication
Yeah.
between the office, dispatchers, and those technicians. ServiceTitan brings all of that together.
Oh,
It
okay.
connects everything: scheduling, dispatching, invoicing, payments, the whole nine yards.
It's like they're bringing the trades into the digital age, kind of like what fintech did for banking.
Yeah, that's a great analogy. And like any good operating system, it aims to make things run smoother,
Yeah.
gives owners the data they need to make smarter decisions. But it's not just about efficiency. They're also using some pretty cool tech.
Like what?
AI-powered dispatching.
AI-powered dispatching. Okay, now you have my attention. Tell me more about that.
So picture this. A customer calls with a plumbing emergency. ServiceTitan's AI analyzes the situation, factors in traffic, technician availability, even their skill level, and boom, it assigns the best person for the job.
Oh.
Faster response times, happier customers, and more business for the company.
Okay, that's actually really impressive. So it's not just automation, they're actually using AI to make the whole process smarter. What other tricks do they have up their sleeves?
Well, one thing that really stood out in the S1 was their focus on mobile tech. Remember, technicians are always on the go.
Right, right.
So having all the info they need right at their fingertips is key.
Yeah, it makes sense. So they're creating a seamless experience for both the business owners and the technicians out in the field. Are there any examples of how this works in real life?
Absolutely. The S1 talks about their mobile app. Technicians can access customer history, job details, even collect payments right on the spot.
Oh, wow.
No more messing around with paper invoices or waiting for approvals from the office. It's about giving those technicians the tools they need to do their job better and faster.
It's amazing to see how tech is transforming an industry we usually take for granted.
Yeah.
But it's not just about cool tech. What about the business side of things? How is ServiceTitan actually performing?
Well, the numbers are pretty impressive. According to the S1, their revenue for fiscal year 2024 was $614.3 million.
Wow. Okay.
That's a 31% increase from the year before.
Okay, that kind of growth is hard to ignore. But fast growth doesn't always mean long-term success. Is there anything else in the filing that shows they're on the right track?
There is. One key metric investors look at for these kinds of companies is something called net dollar retention. Basically, it tells you how much revenue a company keeps from their existing customers.
Uh-huh.
It factors in both churn, customers leaving, and expansion, customers spending more.
So a high retention rate means customers are sticking around and spending more over time.
Exactly. And ServiceTitan has had a net dollar retention rate of over 110% for the past 10 quarters.
Wow.
That's incredibly strong, and it suggests they're providing real value.
Yeah, those numbers definitely show a company on the rise. But no business is perfect, right? What does the S1 say about the risks they face?
You're right. And to their credit, ServiceTitan doesn't shy away from the potential bumps in the road. One of the biggest risks is competition.
I can imagine there must be tons of software companies trying to get a piece of that $1.5 trillion pie.
Exactly. The S1 specifically mentions competition from established players, new startups, and even the possibility of customers making their own solutions in-house.
So how do they plan to stay ahead of the game? What makes them stand out in such a crowded market?
Well, one thing they emphasize is their deep understanding of the trades. Their founders actually come from trades families.
Oh, really?
So they've seen firsthand the challenges these businesses face.
That's interesting. So it's not just tech people trying to disrupt an industry they don't get.
Exactly. That insider perspective seems to be a key part of their strategy.
Hmm.
They're not just building software, they're building solutions that really meet the needs of these businesses.
Okay, so they've got the industry knowledge, impressive growth, and some pretty cool tech. But can they keep this up? What are some of the other challenges they'll need to overcome?
Well, one thing that jumps out is a reliance on other companies for important stuff, like cloud computing. Any problems with those providers could really mess things up.
Right, right. It seems like every company relies on the cloud these days, but that comes with its own set of risks. What else keeps them up at night?
Another challenge is staying ahead of the technology curve. The tech world moves so fast. What's cutting edge today might be old news tomorrow.
So they can't just sit back and relax. They need to keep pushing the boundaries and finding new ways to use tech to solve the changing needs of the trades.
Exactly. And they're already exploring some really interesting things like using AI and machine learning in even more ways on their platform.
It sounds like ServiceTitan's journey is just getting started. We've learned a lot in this first part of our deep dive, but we've only scratched the surface. Join us for part 2, where we'll go even deeper into their financial performance, their plans for the future, and explore whether they can truly become the operating system for the trades. Welcome back to the deep dive. In part 1, we got a glimpse into the world of the trades.
Yeah,
It's bigger than most people realize.
it really is.
And we talked about how ServiceTitan is using tech to change the game, but let's get real.
Okay.
Building a tech empire isn't just about fancy features. We need to look at the numbers. Their S1 filing gives us a pretty honest look at their financials.
That's right. And one thing that really stood out to me was their transparency. They don't just talk about the good stuff, they also talk about the challenges they faced. Like in 2019, they revealed some issues with their internal financial reporting.
Oh, okay. That sounds a little worrying. Did they explain what happened?
Yeah, they did. And it seems like they've taken some big steps to fix those problems. They hired more people for their accounting and IT teams, put stricter controls in place, and even brought in outside experts to help them with some of the trickier accounting stuff.
So they found a problem and they fixed it.
Yeah.
That's actually a good sign, right? It shows they're taking their financial responsibilities seriously.
I think so. It's also worth noting that as a newer company, they have some exemptions from the really strict reporting rules for public companies, but they're choosing to be transparent anyway.
They're going above and beyond, which definitely builds trust with investors. Okay, let's talk about the numbers. We saw their revenue growth is impressive, but growth isn't everything. Are they actually making money? Profitable?
Well, that's where things get a little more complicated. They're growing fast, but they're still operating at a loss.
So they're not profitable yet. Is that normal for a young tech company?
Yeah, pretty normal. They're putting a lot of money into research and development. They're expanding their sales and marketing, and they're scaling their operations. All that costs money, but it's important for future growth.
I guess it's like building a house. You have to build a strong foundation before you can start decorating.
Exactly. And you have to look at the whole picture. Their gross profit margins are actually pretty good. That tells me their core business model is profitable.
For those of us who don't speak finance, can you explain what gross profit margins are?
Sure. Gross profit is basically the money they make from their services minus the costs of actually providing those services. So for ServiceTitan, that's their subscription revenue minus things like running their platform and customer support.
Okay, so a good gross profit margin means they're pricing their services well and managing their costs.
Exactly. And theirs have been getting better steadily, which is a good sign.
And don't forget that net dollar retention rate we talked about.
Right.
Customers are sticking around and spending more.
Absolutely. That's really important for a software company.
But even with a good track record, there are still financial risks, right? What does the S1 say about those?
Well, one thing they talk about is their debt. They have loans they need to pay back. And they're honest about the fact that their ability to pay those back depends on how well they do financially. And things like the economy or increased competition could affect that.
So they're being upfront about the risks, even though they think they have enough money to meet their obligations for the next year.
Yeah, they are.
Now, they've also been raising a lot of money from investors.
They have, yeah. The S1 talks about several rounds of funding.
So what have they been doing with all that money?
Mostly using it to grow. They're investing in new products, hiring good people, and even buying other companies. They've also used some of it to pay off old debts.
It's interesting to see how they've used money to help them expand. And this IPO is about raising even more money, right?
That's right. The S1 talks about what they plan to do with the money from the IPO.
They mentioned using some of it for NCPS redemption, whatever that means.
NCPS stands for non-convertible preferred stock. Basically, it's a type of stock they gave to investors in the past.
Okay.
Now they're planning to buy back that stock, using some of the money from the IPO.
So it's about cleaning up their ownership structure before going public.
Exactly. They also want to use some of the money for general corporate stuff, things like working capital, acquisitions, maybe some strategic investments. It gives them flexibility to do what they need to do.
It's like giving themselves a financial toolkit to deal with whatever comes their way. Let's switch gears a bit and talk about the people behind ServiceTitan, their team and their culture.
Yeah. The S1 actually spends a lot of time talking about their company culture. They see it as a big strength. They even call their employees Titans.
Titans, I like that. Sounds powerful. What kind of values do they focus on?
They talk about making a positive impact, achieving great results, and working together as a team. They also focus on putting customers first, building trust, and always trying to improve.
So they're trying to create a company culture that's both ambitious and supportive, a place where people feel good about working and doing their best.
Yeah, exactly. They also talk about being meritocratic, meaning that everyone is expected to contribute and be accountable. And they're committed to diversity and inclusion. You can see that in their leadership team and their workforce overall.
Diversity and inclusion are really important, especially in the tech world. What are they doing specifically to build a more inclusive company?
They talk about creating a culture where everyone feels welcome and has a chance to succeed, no matter their background. They've really tried to build a company that embraces different perspectives. They believe that diversity makes them stronger.
It's one thing to talk about diversity and inclusion, but it's another thing to actually do it. It sounds like they're putting in the work.
Yeah, they are. And they're also transparent about how they attract and keep good employees. They use something called equity compensation plans.
Equity compensation, that's how they reward employees and give them a piece of the company, right?
Exactly. And it helps make sure everyone's goals are aligned. They mostly use stock options and restricted stock units, or RSUs.
So stock options give employees a chance to buy company stock at a certain price in the future. If the stock price goes up, they can make money. It's a way to encourage employees to help the company grow. What about those RSUs?
RSUs are basically gifts of company stock that employees get over time. They don't have to buy them. It's a reward for their work.
The S1 also mentions something called co-founder PSUs. What are those?
Those are special performance share units, or PSUs, that were given to the two founders of ServiceTitan.
So these are just for the founders. Do those work differently than the other stock options?
They do, yeah. These PSUs are connected to the company's stock price. They're divided into 4 parts, and each part becomes available when the stock price hits a certain target.
So the first part becomes available when the stock price hits, say, $140, then the second part at $240, and so on.
Exactly. It's a way to make sure the founder's success is tied to the company's success. They're in it for the long haul.
It shows they believe in the company's future. The S1 also talks about a lockup period. Can you explain what that is?
Sure. For a certain amount of time after the IPO, the founders, the executives, and other big shareholders can't sell their stock. It's pretty common. It's meant to stop a bunch of stock being sold all at once, which would make the stock price go down.
It's about keeping things stable and showing investors that the people running the company are in it for the long term. Before we finish part 2, let's talk about the legal and regulatory stuff. ServiceTitan has to follow rules like any other business, but the trades industry and the financial services they offer probably make things a bit more complicated.
You're right. They have to deal with regulations about privacy, data protection, cybersecurity, consumer protection, financial transactions, and more. They even work with other companies to handle credit card payments.
And they rely on those other companies for software and services too.
Exactly. They're not doing everything themselves, which can be risky.
It's a balancing act. Using outside help can be cheaper and easier, but it also means you're relying on other companies.
That's true. And they're honest about the fact that they might have legal problems in the future, which is normal for any business. But as of right now, they say there are no legal issues that would seriously affect their finances.
So for now, things are good on the legal front, but they're prepared for things to change. We've covered a lot in part 2, from their financials and their growth plans to their company culture and the regulations they have to follow.
And we've only just scratched the surface.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We've looked at ServiceTitan's big plans, their impressive growth, even their financials. But let's be real. No company becomes a giant without facing some serious competition.
True. and ServiceTitan knows that. Their S1 filing talks about the competition they're up against.
So who are these other companies trying to win over those trades businesses?
Well, there's the established players, the ones who've been around for a while, and then you've got the new startups trying to shake things up.
Hmm.
Some focus on just one trade, like plumbing or electrical.
Yeah.
Others offer broader platforms for lots of different businesses.
Sounds like a tough crowd. How does ServiceTitan plan to stand out and convince businesses that their platform is the best?
Well, in their S1 filing, they highlight a few key strengths. First, they really emphasize their deep understanding of the trades industry. Their founders come from trades families, remember?
Right, right.
So they've seen firsthand the challenges these businesses face.
Yeah, it's not just book knowledge, it's real-world experience.
Exactly. And you can see that in how they've built their platform. It's not just some generic software. It's tailored for trades businesses.
What other advantages do they talk about?
They focus on building strong relationships with their customers. It's not just about selling software. It's about working together as partners to solve problems.
A lot of companies say they're customer-centric, though. How does ServiceTitan actually show that?
They have dedicated teams who make sure clients are getting the most out of the platform. They offer training, proactive support, and they're always getting feedback to improve things.
So they're really invested in their client success.
Exactly. And they also highlight their ability to provide data-driven insights in real time. Their platform collects a ton of data, and they use that data to help clients make better decisions.
It's like they're bringing the power of big data to the trades, helping them use data to get ahead.
That's the idea, bringing data analytics to an industry that has traditionally relied on gut feeling and experience.
Okay, so they have industry knowledge, strong customer relationships, and data-driven insights. But how do they stay ahead of the game when technology changes so fast?
They invest a lot in research and development, constantly adding new features to their platform.
Can you give me an example of those new features?
Well, there's their Sales Pro feature. It uses AI to analyze what's happening between technicians and customers out in the field. It can spot potential upselling opportunities and even coach technicians on how to close more deals.
So AI isn't just for logistics, it's for sales too. That's smart. But they must have some big challenges as well.
Of course. And they're upfront about those in their S1 filing. One of the biggest challenges is finding and keeping talented people. The competition for skilled workers in tech is fierce.
Yeah, the war for talent is real, especially in tech. What else are they worried about?
Another challenge is managing their reliance on other companies for things like cloud computing. We talked about this before. They depend heavily on those providers, and any problems could really disrupt their business.
Right. You gain efficiency by using outside resources, but you also become dependent on them.
Exactly. And they also know they need to keep expanding their sales and marketing efforts to reach new customers. They can't just rely on their current reputation. They need to actively promote their platform and build a strong brand.
So they're not getting complacent. They know they need to keep working hard and adapting to succeed.
Absolutely. They know the challenges and they're actively working to overcome them. That kind of self-awareness is actually a good sign. It shows they're realistic and willing to adapt.
It's good to see a company that's not just pretending everything is perfect. Okay, so we've talked about the competition and the challenges they face. What does all this mean for ServiceTitan's future?
Well, it's always hard to predict the future, but their S1 filing gives us some clues. They're clearly focused on growth.
Yeah, they're planning to buy back that preferred stock and use the rest of the money from the IPO for general corporate purposes, maybe strategic investments or acquisitions.
Right. That financial flexibility lets them take advantage of opportunities as they come up. They're also going to keep investing in research and development, which is crucial for staying ahead of the curve.
So they want to be leaders in this tech-driven transformation of the trades. What about going global? Are they thinking about expanding beyond North America?
For now, their focus is on North America. But they know that expanding internationally could be a big opportunity in the future. They're keeping an eye on global markets to see where they might expand.
So they could be a global company someday, but for now they're focused on their core market.
Exactly. And they're not just sticking to traditional growth strategies. They're finding new ways to use technology to create value for their customers.
We've talked about their AI-powered dispatching and that Sales Pro feature. Are there other areas where they're pushing the boundaries?
They're exploring how to integrate AI and machine learning even deeper into their platform. Imagine a future where AI can automate even more tasks, provide predictive insights, and personalize the experience for both business owners and technicians.
They're building a platform that's not just efficient, but also smart and adaptable.
Exactly. They want to build a truly intelligent operating system that can help trades businesses thrive in this digital world.
Well, this has been a fascinating look into the world of ServiceTitan. We've seen how big the trades industry is, their innovative use of technology, and their ambitious plans for the future.
We've seen how they're dealing with competition, navigating financial challenges, and building a company culture that values both ambition and inclusion.
This deep dive into their S1 filing has given us a unique look at how they operate, their strategies, and their vision.
As you go about your day, think about all those tradespeople who keep our world running. The plumbers, the electricians, the HVAC technicians.
And remember that behind these essential services, there's a revolution happening, a revolution powered by technology and data. Companies like ServiceTitan are leading the way, driving innovation in an industry that's often overlooked but absolutely vital.
That's it for this deep dive. We hope you learned something new and interesting. Until next time, keep exploring and keep asking questions.